A tortilla chip isn't worth its crunch unless it's tough enough to scoop up the dip without falling apart. And if you want to grab a glob of heavy guacamole dip, you're talking about a pretty sturdy chip. These chips actually go one better by baking the flavor of the guacamole dip right into the chip. Green powder isn't usually part of a tortilla chip recipe, but this powder is made from avocados. Avocados are a key ingredient in guacamole dip, so the powder goes into this batch of chips to help give them their guacamole flavor. To start a batch, the green stuff is mixed with corn flour, water, and some special secret ingredients to make masa, the raw dough for tortilla chips. After about 10 minutes, the mixer dumps out 680 kilos of masa, which is enough to make about 200,000 chips. The masa drops into a cutting machine between two rollers. One flattens it, and the other cuts it 16 rows at a time into triangular chips. Then the freshly cut chips head to a triple-tiered gas oven that gets them ready for the deep fryer, where they get their crunch. The oven heats the chips just enough to bake out most of the water in the mix. The amount of water that's left is a crucial contributor to the crunch, so it has to be just right before the chips head into the fryer. The frying process involves plunging the chips into a pool of rice oil that's heated to a sizzling 182 degrees. As the chips hit the bubbling oil, the water in them instantly evaporates and is replaced by the oil that's absorbed by the chips as they cook. It's an even exchange, so the chips end up with the same amount of oil in them as the water that evaporated away. And it's the oil inside the chips that gives them their crunch. The freshly fried chips go from the fryer into a tumbler that coats them in oil and a secret blend of seasonings that's similar to those used to make guacamole dip. This comes in handy if you've got greedy guests that finish the dip before the chips. The chips pour out of the tumbler ready to eat, but first they have to be bagged. To do that, the chips spill into 14 chutes. A computerized scale figures out which combination of chutes has the right amount of chips to fill a bag. Two rotating arms prepare the bags by cutting and sealing them at the bottom seam. Then the chutes are released, the chips drop in, and the bags are sealed, locking in the chips and the crunch.